YouTubes. And we are feeding, and we're streaming, and we're streaming on the YouTubes. We had an interesting night last night with a popular short, and we did the time lapse from the Daniel Tiger session from yesterday. That seemed to get a lot of traction on the YouTube. We are recording our screen thing. We are going to make sure we're streaming there. And basically, the thing I don't know how to do is center us, but I tend to be centered, roughly speaking. We're missing a finger. Rogers, come on. Here. Yeah, we're not quite. All right, so something like that. I don't know. Huh. Yeah. I think I get this. It's got something to do with our it's always a challenge, right? It's got something to do with where the top of the screen is versus the bottom. Okay? So we'll do that. And then we'll center. And then we're pretty good. All right, so here we go. We are on day 3, and we're about however many minutes in, and we can probably just kick it off here. Not going to, hopefully not going to spend ages on this one. It's a popular one. I want to get the full time lapse done, but right now, so we did Roger's head, we did Daniel Tiger. Now we're going to do Roger's, now we're going to do Roger's tie and shirt. So, are we ready? Let's do it. I'm not totally ready as always, but I want to find out where I'm streaming. I'm free streaming it up. Okay, we'll find our stream. Where is it? And then once again, we're knocking on the doors. Do you want to see my stream? Try my product. Okay. Well, who knows? It doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. So, without further ado, let's hit our darkest darks just the way we would if we were painting any other kind of structure. So, I like to, on this one, zoom into about here. Here's definitely a dark. The question is, how? There's definitely a dark over here. Really learning, one thing I'm learning about, funnily enough, is being economical with brush strokes. So in other words, if you gotta find the right size brush. And when you're painting in oil, often what is easier to do is to just stick with the brush that's in your hand, even if it's too big or too small. And you run into problems when you do that, because you want a brush that fits an entire area. So for instance, let's say we're gonna get a nice basic color for the tie here. I can use a brush that's this big there and really fill it in. And then if you need another one for this stroke, let's say then you find out this one, and in nature, in painting real oils, there's no better time. So anyway, I'm getting into things that are not necessary right at the moment, but we're going to move on soon. Okay. I haven't disabled my little tablet pen. Has all this stuff enabled that shouldn't be enabled. There really are no real darks here. There's somewhat dark here. The tie is dark here. And so we're kind of, you can use a small brush to sort of map your way up the edge. And then if you need the bigger brush, you just, like that. Just so. Anyway, it's hard to explain that if you're not familiar with the difference between digital painting versus traditional oil paint. So, but let's just move on. Again, it's easier also to talk about things like eyes and noses, to talk about the corner of the collar of the sweater, so you sort of have to bear with me during this session and just say, well, he's painting these abstract shapes. The idea is pick one color and really find where it lives elsewhere in the painting. So, with that said, there's a dark that wraps around here. we'll continue our we'll continue our path toward completion here. There is a nice light here. There's some more lights. Gonna grab our little shaded area along the neck here that's slightly different from the lightest light on his collar. Okay. There's a grab. Always grabbing those colors. Find our edge, and then really we can, these are halftone shadows, but we can put them in. Why not? And then again, we're going to want to fill the edge that way. Find the edge here. Oh, come on now. I thought we'd fixed that. Did we not? Okay. Nope. Layer tool locked. So here we go. Here we go with this is really a fun, I think of this as kind of a fun part to watch, because you're really seeing things pop across the, you're very quickly seeing dramatic changes from gray. Okay, let's find our shadow pattern here. Whoa, might not want to do that. There's that edge. We've got another shadow edge here. At this point, we've kind of learned how, how important are the clothes. They're important, yes, but are they as important as the face, as the head? No. So here we go. We got a lot of work to do on Daniel as well. So, but I think we're going back to what we said we would do, which is plug in our darkest darks, and then from there you can always review and see how dark was that. Should it have been darker? There's a lot going on here with this sweater. Let's avoid that for now. That's a can of worms I'd rather not hit. We can easily move through into this. I discovered that I bought the coffee beans instead of ground coffee. And I think that's going to mean bringing out the blender to chop them up. I hope that works. Chop it up. I didn't think I would have time to chop them up before getting started, but I've already had a cup, so don't despair. I don't need to review potential spam calls. Okay. Oh yeah. That one kind of curved in there. And then there's a dark sort of maroon shadow. Maroon shadow. Find out what this is. Obviously, darkest darks continue to creep up and around. We can zoom out and see how this is looking. I guess I'm going to check this voicemail. I've been seduced.
Hi, this is Michelle in Susquehanna here in Road. This is a reminder call of Thomas's appointment scheduled tomorrow, Thursday, September 19th.
Okay. Okay. That's funny. Potential spam. Gosh. We're starting to miss phone calls because of those people, you know? The ones who... the spammers. They're starting to win the battle. And now even legitimate calls say potential spam. All right. We're putting in some darks. We've got some rivers of dark here. Some rivers of dark that live here. Okay. Really, this part is made relatively easy by my underdrawing, and I know it's cheating. Yes, it is. I'm not going to sit here and, I mean, maybe we should. I'm torn on that, to be honest with you. Do we need this background drawing? Yes, in some ways we do. I could do it offline. I do it offline because it really looks like cheating when I do it. But basically what I do is I overlay the image. It's sort of like using a projector, which in the old days I would have been very dismissive of. But the fun part for me is painting, and if I am painting from life, there's not much I can do I can't get away with that stuff because it just doesn't work. Like, you can't trace life. You can take a photo of life and then trace that, which is often what I'll do if I'm working on an oil painting. Another thing you can do is draw from life and then transfer that drawing onto a canvas by using this kind of tracing technique. It's transferring. It's but what's done is done on this portrait. We're certainly not gonna be making things up, and it makes things easier when we're trying to find shapes. What else is new? We'll continue on our battle for darkest darks. There's one. There's a reasonably dark. Funny, I didn't get that one. Here's Speak of the Devil, but you can see where it is. You can knock in these darks. A little reflected light. We can find our sharp edge along the contour of the hand on the right. We can find more of our darks on the edge of the pinky finger, or whichever one this is. That looks like it's the ring finger. Now wait a minute though. Rogers, that's got to be his left hand, unless they flipped the... Unless they flipped the photo, that's his left hand. And I'm concerned that maybe he's taking his wedding ring off for the photo shoot, just in case any potential suitors are going to see that photo. They'll never guess that Rogers is a married man. Right, let's see what we got here. A little shadow. And another shadow. Find our way up. Find our shadow edge here. Now this is interesting because we have a dark edge where we didn't really complete our findings there. So we don't know exactly what's top, what's bottom. But we do know that it's dark, and we can generally map that in there. We also have this darkest dark here, which is remarkably, there's reflected light from that beautiful crimson sweater he has on. We know that. But it needn't be. We're going to see a little bit of a difference. See, here we go. I don't know why we're going to just plow ahead on the fingernail here when we don't really need to, but there's a nice highlight here. You'll see that's a dark, and we'll figure that out as we go back into the hand. I don't know why. The fingernails are often some of the hardest things for me to draw. So I'm just going to I'm going to get it done while I have plenty of energy. Okay. We will make another pass through Rogers' sweater area. There's a good example where, we don't have a lot of lines to work with. And in some ways, it frees you up to be more improvisational. When you're leaving. So, in other current events, we had some exciting Mets action last night where Acuna, the rookie, well, not really a rookie, but he's playing his first major league games. He got his first RBI, first home run. He's batting something like 4 has 11 or 12 hits 4 or 5 hits for 11 or 12 at bats. So he's doing great. He's off to a great start. Here's hoping the Mets can keep the momentum going. What else? Not too much. A lot of Mets, a lot of Mr. Rogers. Okay, a little stretchy. Gonna grab this little blue patch and hit it. See, we can just hint at it. Don't need to. All right, so as we were doing before, we can sort of squint, find the general tone as the shadow melts from darkest dark into lightest light, this kind of chiaroscuro, particularly interesting when you're working with fur, puppet fur. But you could see when you're leaving for a dream. can see we're zooming out. We're trying not to look too far ahead. I think that's kind of an important practice, is we're almost drawing our way, plugging in values, and then stepping back and really looking and seeing if those values that we plugged in are correct. That's not correct. That's correct. We don't know until we try. And we're playing a game here of, is it cat or is it child? And that's, I'm hearing some crying in the building. Sometimes sounds like an alley cat, sometimes sounds like a child. It's unclear. If they're two different sounds, I don't even know. But I think it's a child. Can't be sure. All right. We all know where this one's headed. So let's bring it home, right? Let's bring it home. Shadow edges. Shadow times. Shadow times? I don't know if that's a shadow time. Doesn't really matter, because there's always, we can always improv. We can always look at these shapes and say, we'll make our own. It's kind of a crutch to rely on this underdrawing too much. Ideally, what I think I'm going to be going more toward is like top of head, width of head, bottom of nose, little marks like that. And then from there, those are your guides, and I don't know. We got to figure out our approach. But I'm happy for now. So I don't know if I'm... Okay, let's do this. Let's pump in our reds for the tie, because they are here. Speaking of underdrawings, 1, 2, get that one kind of nice little edge. Nope, that wasn't it. Take that one out. We got a little red here. We've got some blues here that are nice when you squint. We're going to carve with our dark into the lighter value. And try not to smush and mush that stuff around too much. And then we can come back with a lighter value later if we want. But, it's a tie, guys. It's a nice tie. but it's not something we need to obsess over. But we can, and we probably will, eventually a little bit. And that's okay. Whoop, where's that one live? I tried to mark this tie up, but we didn't make it, folks. So we're gonna get our darkest dark, plop it in. Gonna get our bluey blue, plop that in, find a nice kind of ring around the paisley. Find another paisley ring. Well, I'm getting distracted by my phone. I've found a little bit of an audience on TikTok. Not streaming live yet because I'm not allowed to. I don't have enough traction there yet to do that. But TikTok's been kind to me as far as viewers engaging with the posts. So that's nice. And then last night had a pretty successful run with a short that I uploaded to YouTube. That got a lot of likes, relatively speaking. So that was cool. And now I'm sort of saying, well, what are we going to do here? We're going to finish this time lapse. Maybe we finish it today. Is it a 3-day? A Head and Shoulders could be a 3-day painting, you know? We have one hand. I don't know. So, can we do it? Will we do it? We can do it. I remember when I was, there was one time when I kind of really reset my thinking on painting. And I thought about painting differently at this one time. And I was painting from a photo, from life, from a photo in oils. And it was just me and the painting. And I decided to really, I didn't even decide, I just kind of was focusing in a way that I hadn't previously. And with that much focus, it's amazing how quickly you can get things done. But it's not always easy to maintain that. And part of the fun is to be a little looser. Part of the fun of this online thing is to make it kind of a hangout. So I'm chit-chatting away. All right. So here's our paisley. We got more paisley. How's that for paisley? Sort of vague paisley stuff. And hello. Alright. There we go. Grab this one. Bring it through. We're gonna need we can really get another dark going in here. Something like that. Sort of flick your eye back and forth to find out where this thing lives. find out what this is. I mean, this is obviously one of these fractal Paisley moments. But how does it? Oops. My judgment is way off. I've become too dependent on my tracings. But that's all right. We can. Interesting. What? Dude, I want a light. When I want a light, I call it a dark. And when I want a dark, I call it a light. This stuff is tricky. The tie and so forth. You want it to look like a tie, but you want it to look like Paisley, but again, sometimes I get a bit wrapped up in how detailed that tie is. Or whatever, how detailed. I get wrapped up in certain details. So let's get away from there for the time being. Get a giant brush. Keep things loose, keep things broad where we can. Finding our sweater. Here's a nice example where having an outline can really help. It's a good thing we mapped out Daniel's pause there yesterday. We'll zoom in, take a look. We can find the shadow edge along the neck here because it's there. And then we can zoom 1 degree out, grab. So fun fact, another Mr. Rogers fun fact that you may not know, nor may you particularly want or need to know this, but Mr. McFeely, first of all, Mr. McFeely is named, Speedy Delivery is named after Fred's middle name, which is McFeely. I believe that's his mother's maiden name. And he played the character Speedy Delivery, Mr. McFeely, is obviously not Mr. Rogers, but he is actually not an actor. And you might be able to tell that because he's sort of shy when he comes to deliver the mail. Like, he's not really a performer, but I think that his performance works for the character very nicely. But with all that said, who is Mr. McFeely? Who is the guy that plays Mr. McFeely? If he's not an actor, then who is he? Well, he is Fred Rogers' accountant for the show. So he's like the CFO of the neighborhood of Make Believe, which is pretty cool. If you ask me. So, you learn something new every day. Let's find out what's happening. I see what's happening here. Zooming out, finding the fur, find the fur, feel the fur, be the fur. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. See me scanning back and forth a little bit, looking for things like this. Here's a beautiful highlight along the edge of the sweater. It lives there. A less light highlight that lives down here. And then we can find this puzzle piece nicely. Look, here we... Wow, that's a nice, fun feeling. It's such a good feeling. Kind of blast in that edge. To know you're alive. Similarly, if we really wanted to have extra fun, we could grab a color like that and plop a brush stroke there. Can we get our dark? Can we get a dark here? Can we get a dark there? Can we get a dark here? Whoops. Can we get a dark here? We're kind of going to Our darkest dark. So you can see that's kind of interesting how these darks begin to get increasingly dark as they go down. The edge, they wind their way up. Okay, there's a dark. Now, we'll find our broad stroke. Not to be confused with Broad Church, another PBS. Is that what it is? Broad Church? I don't know. PBS, man, it's the place to be. I can't get enough PBS. I also am a big fan of C-SPAN. And in fact, I'm not going to give away too much, but I have an exciting potential portrait idea. Really spice things up in the chat room by doing political figures, right? It's just a portrait. That's something we have in the Portrait Painters group. There's a rule, no political comments. And it's an interesting, I didn't write the rule. Another admin did once upon a time. But it's interesting to me, I don't even know if that rule means comment in the literal sense, like don't talk about politics in the comments, or don't make political comments with your art. Like, so does that mean no, basically does it mean no political portraits? I don't think it does, because why can't you just paint a political figure? And then so what always happens is they paint the political figure, people go nuts, they start saying horrible things, and people get angry. You know how the story goes. But what I do is I just turn off the comments, and that's my adherence to the no political comments. It's like, but then some people report users saying, just by the mere fact that they've posted a known political figure, they report that post to admins, and they say, dude, get rid of this. It's breaking rule number 3, no political comments. So it's kind of a semantic thing that I use my best judgment on. But, usually if you see one of the big candidates on there, your bet is safe that the kids aren't going to be able to handle it. So you remove those. You remove the ability to comment. And then usually the people who think it was a political commentary, that the mere painting of it was a political commentary, those people sort of fade away if there aren't offensive comments being leveled. Although they're probably not happy to see their political figure on the group, and then they'll just go somewhere else. Because I think it's good to have portraits of anyone. It really doesn't matter. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess there are limits, I should say. The caveat being that there are certain people, if you started painting them, at very least you'd get people revolted, and at the most you might really it's certain people are frightening in a way, in a very deep way. So they're, you have to draw a line somewhere, right? And right now I'm drawing it in Roger's sweater. It's kind of fun to do this sweater stuff when we're chatting, fireside chat. So, speaking of chatting, here's my daily offer whereby I say you can be the first person to chat on YouTube. We're coming up to the hour mark. We're giving away free chats. If you can drop a comment, if you're watching on YouTube, sorry, actually, you're not, nobody's watching on YouTube. So, hey, that's going to literally fall on deaf ears. But if you do happen to be watching, if you happen to be watching on Facebook, please drop a comment and be the first person ever to chat in Facebook. Oh my God. All right. I gotta go back to sales school. Yep. Okay. Well, here we go. What happened yesterday? There was something funny that happened. Oh, by the way, I got my first portrait commission. Not ever, but from doing this kind of online thing. And it was a bot. It was, like Danny something 424. And it was like, DM me, and I'll even pay you for your work, you miserable artist. And so I took a look at the profile. My instincts were correct. There was one video, and what was weird about it, at least I thought it was weird, somebody had written a comment on the first post that was totally unrelated to art or anything else. It was a comment saying, absolutely. And I don't need to be paid for my art. I'd be happy to draw for you. So I wonder if that was maybe somebody trolling the bot. Anyway, bottom line is, it's not a real commission. It's a fake commission. So I don't think I'm going to do it. I will take the photo, like, sure, send me the photo. Why not? See how it is. And yeah, I guess I could do it. I think in this day and age, we do have to be open to doing like free stuff. I mean, this is free stuff. I definitely could be pounding the pavement looking for students or commissions, but I'm more interested in sort of getting a little community going and just letting people know that I'm out here on the internet. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, and we'll see how it goes from here. And so far, so good. I'm enjoying what I'm learning, and I'm gonna keep it going. All right, so here, speaking of keeping it going. Let's get a broad brush. And then look. Boom. Oh, wow, that was too dark. I didn't get my silly business. Okay, here, let's go. Bring this over. See that? That's more what we wanted. Just hang on just a little bit. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. And you're living on a dream. All right, so very good. There are some announcements for which will be coming up soon. I gotta double check my calendar, but I do have an event coming up. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome. How's this sweater? It's such a good sweater. No sweater is perhaps more iconic than Rogers. Soften that edge, zoom it out. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Meow. I have I've noticed a couple of things recently about the stream world here. Like, there's interest in the first couple of sessions when they see, like, when it's kind of a mystery what's unfolding. But then as you get into this, like, later stages, it seems like there's less enthusiasm from passersby. And I'm curious about that, like, I think that's a problem for me, because I'm sort of thinking, maybe I'll just stop now. which is ridiculous because the painting's not done. But the point in many ways of doing this online is to like attract, you know, not just community, but potential clients, like get my name, internet name built up. I mean, for someone who's been painting for 20 years, my internet presence is almost shockingly nil. I haven't been painting, not, you know, that long consistently, but I've got a lot of experience and never really paid attention to the internet because I have other internet projects that I'm doing, and, you know, excuses. But now I'm very much involved with this internet project. So, yeah, it's, you know, you gotta find your audience kind of thing. Yikes. Oh, that was interesting. Let's find our top of neck. Let's find our highlight LED. That's not a highlight. Highlight. It's a shadow. Sorry, buds. Everything. Interesting. I never thought I would start moving on to this part of the painting right yet, but there we go. Let's find this nice edge as it curls up and in. How about this one? Up and in. And. So where were we exactly? We had this edge. And we were just about plopping that down here. When things get difficult, I get quiet. And I start thinking about stuff. Thinking, everybody thinking. So, let's put in this. And then when we squint, we can find, this is kind of the fun part for me, is finding highlights where we hadn't before. Trickling in those highlights. I'm going to find a highlight on the knuckle here. And then we'll paste in a middle value here. Plug it in. And we could just keep going here. Find out who's what lives where. It's a little Bob Ross. Bob Ross. Okay. So there's that. And I'll bet you we could plot. I find it kind of interesting. Plotting graphs of things is kind of fun. I was just thinking we could plot a graph of the different little mini breaks that I take here. How addicted am I to social media? It's a great experiment. So there's a nice edge. Look at the shadow that zips around here. Gonna take a minute. Put our highlights in as we go. Wrap it around. Okay. We got distracted. I'll be the first to admit it. Let's pull this in and over top of the neck. Let's pull this in and over top of the neck. Gotta figure that out. Figure this out. Some of this stuff is hard to figure out. Something like that. Do we have a line here? Yes, we do. Do we have... Put this here. Put an edge. Oop. Not too much. Everything is awesome. Pardon me. And pardon this, but I don't really know where I am here. There's some like lineage going on there that needs to be figured out. Figuring out. Starting to get a little ready for a snack time. I think it might behoove me to take a little break. So, we'll take a break and be right back. Be right back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There'll be one break in the middle. Starting soon. What does it mean? Starting at 10:25 Eastern. Okay? We're gonna be back in a bit. Okay, we're back. Here's something that's occurring to me as we do this. I'm not going to get too into the details on this topic, but I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. But here's the thing. The more I go on this, the more I realize I only have an hour and a half left. And while, yes, it would seem I could quickly knock this one out of the park, it's daunting. It's a little daunting. It's like I'm probably not going to quite get there. But on the other hand, you won't know until you try. So, with all this jabbering said and done, we're going to plow ahead. We're going to find our way. Where's our what? What do you mean no layers are selected? Oh, dude. Oh, no. I don't want that. No layers are selected in this filter. What happened there? Oh, thank God. I figured that one out in the nick of time. Sheesh. So, I won't even get into what happened there. Some weird filter, right? Don't need that. We'll zoom in. We'll find our little voice here with slightly different tonalities. Really mixing. We're looking from a distance. I mean, this sweater is, old school. Because look, it's like fraying at the shoulders. He's worn this many episodes. And I've got the tapes to prove it. Okay. Let's go faster than this, right? We're getting caught up. There's a sort of fear that happens. This is a nice solid background, so we don't need to be afraid. It's not like we're doing the brick wall with Josh and the team. Although I'd like to get back to that series at some point if we can find a good photo of I'm Lester Holt. But for now, it'll be something like this. Rogers, and then after Rogers, oh gosh, there's so much excitement on the horizon. Gosh, when I'm doing backgrounds, I remember I had a painting teacher who did the most beautiful backgrounds. He'd get these giant brushes and he'd scrub them in. Very, very, what we call, well, they were done. He'd load up his brush with a lot of turpentine and pigment. And he'd do these beautiful scrubby backgrounds. And now you can't do that, at least as to my knowledge, with the brush that I'm using. Like, it's I don't know how to get a wet looking brush. That's really what it would be. It kind of looks like it looks like a wash of oil with turpentine. And that would be nice to be able to do that. Okay. Top of head. Scrub it. Uh-oh. Am I getting... something? We're starting to see that background pop. Pardon me. So, what's next here? I think the kids like the scrubby brushwork. I do too, but I've never really learned how to, utilize it to my advantage here. Or I've never really learned how to leave it scrubby. I start scrubbing and then I'm like, let's make that a little less scrubby. Whoops, let's not do that. This is one reason why when you're pricing a commission, it's good to know what the subject wants in the background. Because if there were a bunch of books and trolley and all the puppets, that would not be good. That would take a long time. It would be fine, but I'm just saying, like, there's a big difference between charging somebody for a portrait that does not have a fancy background and a portrait that does have a fancy background. So, again, I probably should have done this last as kind of the finishing touch, but I was eager to see the effect it might have to have the background in, because I want to see, and this is something that will probably be more easily explained when we're in the studio. Excuse me. If and when we're in the studio. I'm trying to figure out, because there's an event coming up that that places me in the studio. For sure. I have to be there. But I wonder if people visiting, like if there was a sign that says you're being live streamed, like there's a live stream in here. If that would suffice for a kind of, or do you need to like get their sign off? I don't know. I'm not a maybe the thing to do would be to make it like obvious when you're being filmed and when you're not. So anyway, I'm riffing here. What I'm talking about is a studio event where there will be a lot of people in my studio. And I'm going to want to potentially do a time lapse or a live stream of a painting that I work on when I'm in there. Because I have to be in there. And so I'm just sort of spitballing in my own brain about ideas of how to film, since I have to be in there anyway. Wow, that's quite a background. I mean, boy, oh boy. This little spot here, we just got to get that plopped in. Something like that. All right. No more funny business. Oh my gosh, what was that? That wasn't right. All right, a little edginess there didn't ever hurt anybody, but I'll probably won't get back to it. So there's our background in something that's been bugging me about this portrait the whole time has been this. So look, let's find out where this thing is. Sort of blur that. Okay, that's a better hairline. Gosh, we're still getting a little crinkly in the eyes there, but look, we're jumping ahead. We got stuff to do here. So, what is that stuff to do? First, let's do the hardest part, the hand. The hardest part to do, leaving you, would be the hardest thing to do. Jan Terry, folks, that's another potential portrait. Sort of, we go into the niche corners of memedom. Pop stars, lots of ideas on the chopping block. But none of them, you can see I'm ready. I'm like, all right, I've explored Rogers. I'm ready. I'm ready. Ready to do something. But it's a little bit that kiss of death when you start wishing you were doing something you're not, you know? I don't know where this is, but this could do that, and then we could get a dark edge here. Can be pushed in. Oh boy. Getting some exciting announcements from companies on my text messages, and I'm not even aware that I signed up for those alerts, but okay. Okay, here's the finger. Don't look at the finger. It's like a finger pointing to the moon. Don't look at the finger, lest you will miss all that heavenly glory. 20 points for anybody who knows what movie that is. We know it's a Zen koan or something, but it's Enter the Dragon. Fun movie. Really fun movie. So here, we'll wrap this edge a bit more. We'll bring a light value down and around. We're going to find our basic flesh tone. I don't want this sort of paint by numbers look we don't really want. We want it to be a bit more I don't know, academic looking. What's the word? So we're gonna, to that end, find a. This is the part really that I was underestimating. I was like, oh, I've got to do all that stuff in the sweater, but it's not the sweater that's got me afeared so much as it is the hand and the remaining details in the head. Because as you know, or maybe as you've seen, when I start revising things in the head, I can get a little obsessed and start, if you clean things up too much, you'll get into the danger zone. It's the highway to the danger zone. So what other things could we do? We could do still lifes. We could do digital paintings of real things. Now that's going to be cool. That would require a bunch of cameras. And technical know-how that I would need to pretty quickly brush up on. There he goes. Let's find our light pattern as it wraps up and around. Find our shadow pattern here. Oops. I'm neglecting my coffee. And it's going to be past coffee time very soon. So let's blast off here. It's go time, okay? Grab a dark, whatever it is. Bring it. Splash it. Nice little shadow value. Now, instead of we're not talking about shadow puppets. We're actually discussing puppet shadows. Get it? Whoa, that was too much. Puppet shadows. All right, squinting. We always got to squint. Be surprised how much squinting you have to do. All right, now I'm not really on. I'm not in the zone. I'm kind of need to get back to that place a bit. It's a place. All right, puppeteers. That's cozy. Yikes. Now. Oh man, I'd forgotten. I gotta get the teeth and everything. Sheesh. Well, you see what I'm doing here? I'm just getting distracted on purpose. Distracted on purpose. That's what I like to do. I'll get distracted. What do you do with the mad that you feel? Oh, such a feeling to feel like this and know that the feeling is really yours. I don't know the lyrics to that one, but it's a classic. What can you do with the mad that you feel? Plop. Find another. Plop, plop, plop. There we go. Find our shadow edge. Plop it through and across. Find our another shadow edge. We've got things we gotta do here. We don't have a lot of time. It's a conversation that we have every morning in this house. We're getting ready for school, getting ready for work. It's not, we gotta get moving here. Okay. There's a hand. Pretty nice brushwork there, if you ask me. Not the worst. Not my finest hour, but not my worst. We've got the ability now to pull this highlight up and across. We're going to want to what do you do with the mad that you feel? You can, the new Daniel Tiger songs, like the ones that were not written by Rogers in his, but were more written for the new animated series, Daniel Tiger, is which, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, but these shows come and go so quick now. Like, I don't even see Daniel Tiger's making new episodes, are they? I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to ask. It's that really, they're so hyper. Like in the old days, all we had was like Sesame Street and Rogers. Like there weren't age specific ones. So like everybody would be watching those. But now you can get like, this is for the 4-year-olds. This is for the 3-year-olds. You know, they can granulate because they need to sell that Play-Doh. They need to sell those water guns. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. So, back to what I was saying about the music of the new Daniel Tiger show. It's great. It's actually really good. It's not, it may not be Rogers level composition, but, you know, it's jazzy and it's fun, and I've actually learned to play some of those on me guitar. So we'll maybe visit that. It's such a good feeling. To know you're alive, it's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside when you wake up, ready to say, I think I'll make a snap. There's a little indication there. That's hard. It's hard. We also don't want to rush ourselves into a bad spot, but it's like, do we want to linger on this one forever? There's a highlight. Not really a highlight, but it'll suffice to call it that. When the lights go up, here's a middle tone. So you could see, like, this is kind of fun, I think. What are middle values? You can see this kind of you can see the architecture of the hand coming through when you hit it with various means here, like various sorry, nope, there we go. Yeah, there's our chance. Plop it in. You're punching in tonal values. Really, it doesn't matter so much what the color is, but you're saying that's darker than that, and you know, this edge lives here. And if you keep plowing ahead and plopping in these color values, tonal values, whatever, however you want to call them. Here, let's find this. Find a little tip of the fingernail here. What begins to happen is you see that architecture of the hand come forth. And that's exciting, I think. It's we're kind of using our eye and bringing things into focus. Oops, nope. We want this. We want this kind of middle value. And we want to pull it in like that. So we get a shadow. And we're seeing our little by little. Now, we're at the 2-hour mark, so can we do that 3 times? I don't know. We still got a paisley tie to do. Boy. Let's not underestimate ourselves, shall we? The knuckle here is tricky because look how there's stuff going on it that indicates the little various shapes and patterns on the knuckle. But again, there's the fear that we're going to get too deep into the architecture and not resolve. We don't want to get lost in that stuff. So it's kind of just like hit it and get out. And that's not the worst. I don't love the hand so far, but that's a tough hand pose if you ask me. Then finding out how this bleeds in and down. So there's nice stuff in here. How does this connect? Oops. Find out how this connects here. Very quiet as we round sort of the back nine of this portrait. Parts of this are difficult. Parts of it are not difficult as much. But it's all important, right? Do your best. Can we do it? It's such a good... Now, while the Fred Rogers Company might not like me to be using this photo, I would say to the Fred Rogers Company, like, this is just PR, I mean, it's free PR. Not that my reach is within striking distance of a legitimate PR campaign numbers, but I just think if I ever were to be questioned about this, I think I would be able to make the case that it's a fair use and not a giant threat to the Rogers Company. Now, look what I'm doing here. I don't think I got that hand right yet, and I'm losing my patience. So I have to knuckle down. Buckle down, knuckle down. I don't know. Bring that over. Bring that through. Oh yeah, the knuckle goes like that. And now we're really squinting across and finding where is what are our big shapes? Whenever you're painting hands, you really have to kind of trust in. There's too much detail in there to really get it all, but you do have to kind of get the basics like that. And here we go. Where was that? Where? Gosh, I was thinking about the teeth and the head, and I'd forgotten just how difficult the knuckles were going to be. So, well, it could mean that I could revisit for an hour after lunch. All depends on what the rest of the email inbox says. All right, here we go. Let's find that one. It's such a happy feeling. The hand's almost done. And when by done, I say that with a really heavy caveat that it's probably going to be pretty choppy looking. Because we've got bigger fish to fry. Oy. I don't like that. I don't like that. Here. Let's find the contour of this hand. Find this one. All right, now we can look at our image. Now that we're filled in and we don't have anything else to lose, we can find our shadows and pull some lights up and in. Okay, like that. We can really, oh my gosh. That's my worst nightmare. Oh God. I guess I didn't use it. So, we're going to find a brush like this. We're going to find a way to blur this edge. Find a way to blur together. Highlights. Highlights, everybody, highlights. Curve this in a bit more. Really just have to talk to myself in a very quiet whisper before something goes awry. Let's So here you can see what I'm doing. I'm ignoring the fact that I have a glaring question mark here, which is what lives in that gray space. And the nerves are starting to chime in here. Come on, what do we have time? We don't have time for this. Come on. No. 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 No, 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 no. Find this one. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we'll get our shadow color. We'll bring it in and across all the way through. We're going to bring this one in and down. This is a hard hand pose, I'll tell you. We need a highlight. We're going to plop it here. We're going to put another one here. Couple of highlights here. See this, how this comes in here? That's not right. But it's close enough, I think. I'm gonna use this. Shit. I knew this was always an issue down here. I knew it. I wonder if this is just not even showing up on the time lapse because I have like a different. That would be funny. Different angle on it. Wow. I think we saved this hand but at the expense of, well, so I just got a little bit of a reprieve too, because, oh God, what is this? Because finish your sentence. Gosh, I'm on the edge of my seat here. This is probably the hardest passage of painting I've done since I started this whole thingy. Oh boy. Oh boy. It's harrowing. It's like a roller coaster. What are we gonna do? What can we do? What can we do? Pull it across. Pull it right in. That's not, I mean, it's fine, but it just, yeah, it's not quite, it's not Sargent, that's for sure. But who is, Not me. Let's find out where this beautiful highlight lives and try to finish this guy off here, at least on the hand. No. Got him. He got him. Find a way to play together. Soft edge. Gosh. Darker darks, bring them through, bring them forth till I see you. Summon forth the darkest darks, because we need them. Oh my goodness. I think we're gonna just make this one black. Summon forth the darkest darks in the scene. Summon forth the darkest darks. All right, so we're calm, we're zooming out, and then we can see where we took things too far. Ah, Jesus. Sorry, family friendly. I'm sorry, Rogers. I'm not a minister. I'm merely a tortured artist. Merely a tortured artist. I'm gonna blur this one up. Whoa. No. Can't do that one right now. Come on, we got hands to paint here. Holy moly. Should I be painting the hands with this much focus? I don't even know. But something's calling me to resolve these shape problems. And it ain't my cell phone. It's my my training kicking in. Oh boy, that was crazy. Training. Use the force. Let go. No. No, get me out of here. Come on, come on. Oh God. This is brutal. That's not it. Oh my God. This is crazy. It's like you're really playing like soccer or something, or like tennis. It's like fighting against yourself. You like it's like playing tennis against yourself. That's what it's like. And it's kind of fun. But if you want something too bad, like if you want to finish it, it can, that's where you got to just be like, that's what I did. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's like that hand is like too good for the rest of the thing. The last thing I'm going to do too is just blend down the point of it, kind of. Because we don't want it to be like claw hand or anything. So dang, thanks for bearing with that. I think the hand is sort of done. We're just going to soften that edge. I don't know. Like, this could be a problem. Blur that down. Holy moly. Have a fagioli. And it's really bated breath. I mean, for me, that's what it feels like. It's like, okay, that hand is, it is what it is. It's all like, it's too realized for what the rest of the piece is going to be in this half-hour time. I should not have done that. Oh boy. But we done it. So I did it. It's too late now. So now we're going to lose this edge. Like Jan Terry. I don't want to lose you tonight. It's so nice to be out of that hand, man. It's going to haunt me for the rest of time, but now that we don't have like actual things to like make looking like they are, in other words, now that we can move on to the fur of this puppet, he's got characteristic fur, but the big shapes are not. The big shapes are all you need there. So, oh boy. So, let's zoom out. Take a look. Ouch. Did I lose my time lapse? That would be fun. No. All right. Hand done. But see, what I did was I got the hand going. You can see it from here. The hand is like almost better than it needs to be. But we might as well just get it right, because Watch this little knuckle. I don't know, buddies. See that? It's still haunting me. As Cinnabon Boy would say, it lives in my head, rent-free. But actually, it's not just rent-free, it's taking. It's, I don't know. Feels like it's even more sinister than that. It's stealing. Okay. Sheesh. I don't like the hand, but we're gonna have to live with it. And actually, I think, as much as I hate to say this, maybe we'll take a vote. Anybody out there want to chime in? Do we spend another full day on Roger's head tomorrow and then start a new portrait in the afternoon? Drop an answer in the comments if you care. So the argument is that I've now refined the hand. Oh God. I guess I could chop the hand up a little bit with some accents to make it more smudgy. Oh, you know what? No, you know what I don't like about the hand? Oh, Jesus, here we go again. Sorry, I'm taking the Lord's name in vain, or somebody's Lord. This is the problem. I'm going to be, this is, you can start to see the dilemma. It's that once you open a door, you can't really shut it. And you could chop it up and sort of attempt to hide what you've done. Like a kind of victim of a crime or something. But then you're always going to be haunted by it because you know that hand is buried under there somewhere. Okay. And I just didn't, and it's okay. There's a highlight here. There's a highlight here. If you have to put a highlight, stop and put it right away. Flush and wash and be on your way. Like, let's sync this, I don't know. Sausagefingers.com. The more we get in there, it's just going to be crazy. So, shit. I don't like that hand. Have I said that before? Okay. Let's move in. Get something happening with the tie. We've got our shadows. Got our other shadows. But here's the thing. We could go for a 4-hour thing. a 4-hour streamy stream, because we're not called upon right at the moment to do anything that's pressing. But well, you know what I'm doing? I'm breaking my rule. I'm breaking the one thing at a time rule, and I'm thinking about things that aren't happening yet. So the thing's not done, it's not done. I want to push it to an edge, and you can't just jump ahead. It's like incremental progress, right? If you can do 1% better each day, 1% faster, whatever your goal is, 1% better. Sorry. Oh my God, look at the paisley. Now imagine if I started painting that paisley with the same kind of obsessive, no, but this is here, this is there. I mean, the thing would just be like portrait of a tie. You don't want that. Nobody called for that. Throughout art history, there's a lot of great examples of paintings where it's like portrait of a guy's, shawl or red sweater, and like it's an easy mistake to make where you're focusing on the wrong thing. Oh my gosh, me nerves. On the other hand, I think what we're going to see as we carry through this, or carry it over the finish line, we'll see that when I block in those lights in the, again, I'm talking about the future and I shouldn't, but when I finally get rid of all that stuff that's happening on his head that's unfinished, which is really crying out to me now that the hand is more resolved. I shouldn't have done that hand. Sorry. I was listening to, what's his face? First baseman for the New York Mets. Keith Hernandez, back in the day. He was calling a game last night, and he was saying, the other announcers said, like, you don't want to take your bad at bat out into the field with you when you're on defense, but does the same ring true for bringing your bad defense out into the, and it's kind of a silly question, because if you really think about it, it's all baseball, it's all, really, it's all life. So if you're holding on to past mistakes, basically, I mean, this is Zen moments with Chris, but and Fred, he would probably attest to this. If you're holding on to mistakes you made, that's the real mistake. So anyhow, here's to forgetting mistakes. We painted the hand that way, and that's the way it is. So we're not going to bring our errors into the outfield with us for the last inning here, so to speak. Okay, but we are going to put our game face on and charge through. Find our light, I didn't drink my coffee that I made for myself. But it's sitting right here. There's half of it left, so I'm going to have a little bit more. Okay. Friends, neighbors, pals. Look what I did here. I don't think I got this figured out. Take this and we'll chop it in. Chop it up, chop it in. There, that's better. See that? And you get the... Give Daniel a little bit of more of a backbone there. Daniel Striped Tiger. What do you think? I know there are other photos where he's got each puppet. I don't know why he would do this photo shoot, but it was probably for a GQ cover shoot, is my guess. And they probably did all the puppets. We got King Friday. Okay, so let's not lose it. Let's win it. Carving in, carving out, bringing our brush around. Oh boy. Not paying attention. Mixer brush, mixer brush. Okay, highlight. Plug this highlight in. Plug this highlight in. Oh no, that's that one, right? And then this one lives here. And that one's already down. So, okay. Something like that. Plug this shadow. Oh, Jesus. I'm dropping the J-bomb all over this stream, and I do think that it's inappropriate for a Rogers portrait, but I don't think he would have liked that very much. I maybe mentioned this before, but Rogers swam every day of his adult life. I don't think he ever missed a day. I mean, even when he was like flying around, and he went to Russia at one point on business, and he even brought his trunks on that trip, and so kind of cool. Shows that dedication, not just to his own health, and it's sort of, maybe think of it as a spiritual practice of its own, but then he's got his television ministry, essentially, where he's just going there, getting after it every day. Whoopsie, whoopsie, everybody. Other fun Rogers stories. Let me see if I can think of them. Well, heck, you know what we could do for the last minute here? We'll have LeVar Burton tell it like it is. Although, am I going to get VOD'd? VOD copyright strike? Not that anybody needs to hear my yapping. We're really coming down to the wire. This is like those last puzzle pieces, you know, where you're like, oh my gosh, I found the whatever. I found the thingy that goes here. All right. That's good. You know what I did? I did a Thomas Kinkade Christmas puzzle during the lead up to the birth of my son, which was many years ago, 5 years ago. And we did a Thomas Kinkade Christmas puzzle. And I learned a lot about Kinkade because I am trained to mock artists like Thomas Kinkade as charlatans or just kind of commercial abominations of the art world. But damned if I didn't find some really interesting things in studying his painting for days and days. You know, I mean, is it to everybody's taste? Perhaps not. But it is well rendered, and it's nicely wrought. I think this was a guy who just knew what sold, and he was friends with Siegfried and Roy, not Rogers. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Thomas Kinkade, painter of light. So every once in a while, for the VOD purposes, I'm going to just keep saying that. So Thomas Kinkade, painter of light, was friends with the Las Vegas Tiger brothers, Siegfried and Roy. And there was a time when he was at, you know, wherever they do their show. I forget the name of that venue, but it's like the it is the MGM, you know, whatever that theater is, where they had their residence. And he was there with his mother, and had some kind of a drug-fueled mental health crisis. And when Siegfried and/or Roy appeared, and you know they have these kind of provocative costumes. Maybe they're wearing like sort of spandex pants, and he suddenly apparently turned on his friends and stood up in the crowded theater in the middle of the show and began shouting the phrase "codpiece, codpiece, codpiece," and it's like, what? Inappropriate. I mean, I'm sorry, Thomas, but so anyway, Thomas Kinkade, painter of light, was really ushered out of the theater, from what I understand. He was kind of like, they were like, bro, let's get your head screwed on here and take a breather. And his, you know, he like left the venue with his mother. I mean, bizarre. Like, why would you analyze that how you will? I feel that what it indicates to me is a man who is like maybe jealous of the kind of the performance element of being a movie star, so to speak. You know, he was a star of the art world, but how many people can say they knew what he looked like or even really cared what he looked like. What they wanted was his, they wanted his puzzles and his coffee mugs and his calendars. So I guess what I'm saying is there was sort of a megalomaniacal streak in there that I think he must have seen his buddies getting all this adoration and sort of wanted to discredit them somehow, but I don't know. More on that another time. So here we go. We're starting to pull this all together. I'm not too worried about the hand anymore. I wish I'd done a little bit better, but it's an offhand. It's an offhanded hand. So let's. Oh boy. I have as a proud New Yorker, I like to keep track of what's going on in my neighborhood, and sometimes it's I have this app called Citizen where you get little alerts when there's some kind of a crime thing. I mean, call it my sick fascination with true crime stuff, but I get alerts on that every once in a while, and I think that's part of the issue that we have today is there's so much access to there's so much access to all that news that we tend to, I think that things are much more horrible than they are. That things are horrible. I'm not denying that, but I just think that sometimes we see more of the horrible than we do the non-horrible, at least on our phones and in the sky and on the billboards. All right. Weird sweater thing. I don't know if I wanted to do that like that, but we can zoom out and see what's this going to look like. Really giving my eye a good workout here today. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We're just going to keep at it, Okay. Left some holes in the sweater there. I don't want any moth attacks. How about, and here's another little happy anecdote about Rogers as sort of a chaser to my last rant. Rogers used to watch television with his mother, and he would watch the news, and he would get scared when he would see scary things like people getting injured or stuff you see on the news when you're a kid. And he says his mother always said to him, look for the helpers. You will always see in these horrible stories people who are there helping and lending a hand. And that stuck with Fred. Another really cool story was that he was kind of like not, you wouldn't have picked, he was bullied as a young child, actually. He was called names because he was a heavier kid, and see, we're just softening that edge as it goes down. People were not very nice to him. And he befriended, so this was a weird thing. The like high school quarterback like type got injured, and he was laid up in the hospital with like some horrible sports injury and broke his back or broke something that was like, going to require weeks or months of recovery in the hospital. And his mother was like, Fred, go help this guy, bring him his homework, and like see if you can help him with anything, because that's the right thing to do. Like, he might not have people coming to visit him right now. He needs to keep up with his studies. And for Roger's mom was like, go ahead and do this, and he went. And I think there was sort of an odd pairing, like, the kind of lanky, quiet, possibly not the most popular guy in the class, and this quarterback type. And they hit it off well, and they remained friends for life. But it was just sort of another, more evidence of like Rogers, a little bit of a window into what it was that made him tick, like when his upbringing with his parents sort of guiding him toward that way. So anyway, I don't know. That was one that I remembered. How's this sweater coming along? My goodness, it's taking forever. Looks like a sweater enough, right? So, we're coming up on the 3-hour mark. I never thought that this would be like this. Actually, I could have guessed. I was a little scared when I pressured myself to finish this one. But I think this is what my ultimate plan will be. Is going to be, we'll finish this one here, and then we'll jump back into the head of Rogers for the last event, and we'll zoom in tight, and we'll just hit that for the final 3 hours. Is that too much? I don't know. So for now, we're coming up on the end. The end is nigh. You know what we could do here? That's where we need. That's where we need. What do we need? That's where we need another layer. All right. Speaking of layers, let's get this cardigan rolling, pal. In the next 5 minutes, we can probably finish off that sweater. Sorry, I'm a little more zoomed out than anybody needs to be. Crimson. So there's something really lovely about having unlimited paint. You know, you really, when I paint in oils, I'm very conservative with how much I use, and that's because I for a long time, and even still do occasionally, grind my own pigments with a pestle. Not a pestle, but a muller. And that's kind of a fun process, but I think that has taught me to like be overly cautious about using paint, and not in a good way. In other words, I want to become more free about how much paint I use. It is expensive stuff, so in some ways, if you make it yourself, it's far less expensive than buying good quality paints in a tube, but then you've got the time spent grinding it. So things to consider. Oh boy, we got Barky. Wouldn't it be funny if my neighbor watched this show? Watched this watched this stream and heard me complaining about their dog. All right. We're at 3 hours. I mean, why do we have to be so hard and fast about it? I don't know the answer to that. But I think what we're going to do is spend a little more time on Daniel and the tie, and then we'll spend the next hour and a half. So the next session's going to be interesting, right? So let's call it a day. Many thanks for bearing with, and I hope you enjoyed that. You know, it's not the most popular part of the process because we kind of took care of the fun stuff first, but this is the stuff that really ties it all together, obviously, like taking care of that stuff. Cinnabon Boy, thank you. Thanks for the GG, and we'll see you tomorrow. And much appreciated as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.